Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you played with only nukes in Beyond All Reason? Well, I definitely have, and this is what happens. You would think nukes would be this overpowered weapon that is insanely good in the game. This, however, is not completely true, because they are rather risky. The risk, however, can be worth it because sometimes it is extremely good to go for an early nuke, whereas sometimes it is a horrible idea that will lead to the complete destruction of your entire team. One of the main struggles that I've found with nukes is the fact that you are supposed to be a team support player 90% of the time if you are building a nuke. As a support player, your main goal is to help your allies win the front and maintain control over the reclaim fields and have the units they need to defend against oncoming attacks. If you try to go for nukes during this time, it can definitely backfire and cause you to lose your front and destroy the whole game. If you want to try for a nuke, make sure that you have a very strong frontline player in front of you who is capable of holding and defending everything around you. Using a nuke might seem as simple as just grabbing it and launching it towards the enemy, but it's not that simple. You actually need to be very direct in how you fire your very first nuke. Think about it, you're investing around 9,000 metal into one missile that is heading towards the enemy. That's a lot that you have to recoup in the single shot. If you fire it directly at your opponent and miss that shot, the whole team on the other side is going to start building anti-nukes and make it incredibly difficult for you to land your next nuclear launch. For this reason, it is extremely important that you hit a position that will be the least likely to expect a nuke to hit. You want to target the weak points in your enemy's line. Positions like the canyon on All That Glitters are an exceptionally good place to launch your first nuke. Another excellent spot would be on Supreme, right on the front line by the Straits. Launch a missile right there and they won't likely have an anti-nuke up to defend against it. A single shot can win you the game. Now, you don't necessarily want to just go based on the fact of guessing with a very powerful weapon like a nuke. If you're going to be shooting it, you might as well have a little bit of intelligence to know exactly where it's going to hit. That means that you need to build some scouting units. I highly recommend, if you are going to be going for nukes in your games, build a single air factory. Now, obviously this isn't ideal because it costs a little bit of extra metal, but being able to control when you scout and what you scout is very, very powerful if you're playing for nuclear missiles. The only alternative to this is having your allies do it for you, but that's a little bit harder to coordinate. Scouting can help you locate specific areas where anti-nukes stop their protection. Find these holes in the defenses and launch right on the borders to do optimal damage to important positions. A couple scout planes is a very small cost to the amount it takes to build a single nuke. It is well worth the expense. Once again, let's go over a couple risks just so we have a well-rounded concept of what it means to go for a nuke. The major risk you really have is that your front line's going to get crushed. This is likely to happen at least once if you try to do this in a lot of your games. Front lines are incredibly fickle, and if you don't know the person in front of you, it can be kind of hard to fully put all of your effort into a nuke just to have a little bit of unsurety on that front line. Just be careful of it and keep an eye out and be ready to backpedal and transition to maybe a T2 economy and units, or T1 if you really get highly pressured. Another risk to going for nukes is the fact that your economy is now going to be extremely hindered, especially if you are the eco player. You've decided to put an aphis worth of metal into a single unit that will shoot one missile every couple minutes. Yes, it's an aphis worth of economy. So, you better make sure that it is worth it. Scout that terrain, find the anti-nukes, and find a hole, because otherwise you've wasted your economy. Now, I say all of this not to say that you should never build a nuke, but rather that they are situational structures. They are not a guaranteed victory, and they do have some risk tied to them. So just be careful on what games you choose to use them in, but you can practice and mess around with it to find the playstyle that really fits your personal preferences. Anyway guys, I hope this video was helpful in learning more about the nuke and how to use it and when to use it. And as always, I'll see you on the battlefield.